was your emergency?
This is Alex Murdoch at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child got badly.
Hey guys, it's Franky. Welcome to the Think Tank. So we're going to talk a little bit about Stephen Smith again. He was found unalived on one of the back roads not far from his house in Moselle. And then later on, I'm going to go through the autopsy, the first one done, and knowing that they're planning on doing a second one coming up here as soon as they can get him exhumed. So this is from the U.S. Sun, and what they're basically saying is that when this happened, the wound on his head was consistent with a gunshot wound, and that, again, the investigators do believe that that scene was staged. Now, when they did do that first autopsy, there was no projectiles in his head. What they're talking about is a large area damage on him, but they did not find any kind of backup as far as bullets, casings, anything along those lines. So we do know that he was found about 15 miles from Moselle back in July of 2015. So this is Stephen. He's a twin. He's got a sister that is the same age. So it was initially believed that this was a hit and run, but they're saying that there's new evidence that has come out while they were investigating the Maggie and Paul Murdoch crimes. So this here is Buster. He is the only surviving son of Alec and Maggie Murdoch, and he's basically the one that this is centering around as far as theories go. So it was initially, like we were saying, believed that he had passed away from a hit and run while he was looking for help after his vehicle had reportedly run out of gas. Now, his vehicle, we'll see how far that gets into it here, but it was also left in kind of a weird state. So autopsy results suggested that the impact caused Stephen's death, but his family does not believe that this is what happened at all. They're saying that he was skittish and would have not walked on that road. He would have either cut through, you can go through and kind of hook up through one of the fields, or he would have called somebody because he's known to have done that before. So we do know that they did open this up again, took a look at it, and they are now saying that it was either manslaughter or homicide. And right now it's just been changed over to a homicide. So this comes after a South Carolina Highway Patrol official who responded to this incident said that a wound on his skull appeared to be consistent with a gunshot. And according to multi-action disciplinary team case notes seen by Inside Edition, according to the incident reports, this injury was later attributed to a truck that may have sideswiped him with the rearview mirror. So the logistics of any of this, very slim, very, very slim. Detectives at the scene have spoken out with theories that would suggest homicide. Investigator Todd Proctor was one of the first who responded to this death scene and said that based on his 15 years of experience, nothing about this case would have indicated that it was a hit and run. As any investigator, you go off the evidence. There was no evidence that pointed towards this being a hit and run or even a vehicle being involved with it. It looked like it was more staged, like possibly the body had been placed in the roadway. Proctor explained that when a person is fatally struck by a vehicle, it causes them to tumble down the road, leaving their clothes and shoes strewn across the street. We have no evidence to show that there was any kind of movement of that body. It looked like it was placed there. He added that Stephen Smith's keys, phone, and wallet were hanging halfway out of his pocket. Okay, we're going to take this out. As far as I know, that wallet was left in his car. It just didn't fit the description that this individual was actually hit by a vehicle. So the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, they call themselves SLED, launched the murder investigation on June 23rd, 2021, citing new evidence while analyzing the deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh. Progress has been made, and SLED's investigation is active and ongoing. Additional agents have now been assigned to the case. The unclear link between the Murdaugh investigation and the Smith and Stephen Smith's death led to online speculation that implicated Buster Murdaugh, the only surviving son of Alex and Maggie. And he is the oldest of the two. Paul was a year or two younger. In a heart-wrenching letter published by Fitz News, Stephen Smith, his mother Sandy, begged the FBI to consider Buster as a suspect. In the letter, she claimed that the investigation into her son's death has been deliberately derailed. Sandy Smith has never stopped demanding justice for her son, suggesting that Buster could be responsible for the unaliving and that the Murdaugh family attempted to cover up the crime. Meanwhile, Buster has voiced his innocence and has tried to silence the rumors that are linking him to Stephen's death. I've tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal unalivings of my mother and brother. And he's also got to deal with the fact that Alec has now been sentenced to life sentences for unaliving them. So Buster said that I love them so much and I miss them terribly. These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false. I'm unequivocally denying any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family. Meanwhile, Sandy, the devastated mother, remains worried that history is repeating itself and concluded the letter with her concern that no one here is trying to solve our case. However, Buster doesn't face any charges and police have not linked him to the crime. As the Smith investigation is ongoing, anyone with information is urged to contact SLED. So that tip line is 1-800-CALL-SLED. CALLSLED. And this is Stephen and Sandy. So there is a lot being looked at as far as this case goes. There's a bunch of different avenues to be looked at, a bunch of different people to be looked at, and a bunch of different motives to be looked at. So with that said, we know that this is reopened. I am going to go through his autopsy, Stephen's autopsy later, and we can kind of discuss what is a likely scenario and kind of go from there and see what we can come up with. So guys, for now,